In this issue of Video Fashion Style, all eyes are on the guys as we take a look at the best in men's style from New York to Europe. In Paris, Dior Homme is the epitome of elevated French style. Known for his over-the-top presentations, Thom Browne takes his quirky eye for menswear to the Cooper Hewitt Museum as a guest curator.
For me, doing things that are important enough that museums are interested, that's really special for me.
Alton Lane's premium bespoke tailoring creates the perfect look for any occasion. British designer Paul Smith gives us a taste of what the UK has to offer the modern man.
When I first started, a lot of men were very nervous about wearing anything other than a very simple suit. And then it was late 70s, early 80s that people started to relax a little bit more.
George Lois's iconic covers for Esquire Magazine join the Museum of Modern Art's permanent collection.
You don't design a magazine for your readers. You design it for what you know is right, and the readers will follow.
And in New York, John Varvatos pulls out all the stops with his signature rock and roll sensibility.
I love the show. You got to realize Chris being, one of my favorite designers and coming from Belgium, it feels like you're looking at some Andemulemister or a Raf, but not the same aesthetics, but it's just that feeling.
Sense of the 70s in a super sensual way with a bit of a Mick Jagger swagger is definitely in the air in the men's world.
I thought it was incredible. I love the skate theme that he used because, he's always thinking about youth culture, but he's thinking of the culture of now. And I think he really saw it in a lot of the outerwear, a lot of the big utilitarian parkas with the pockets, a lot of the pattern mixing. I love that he introduced the buffalo plaid, but used it in a very, accented way instead of like an overtly way.
Nice Gothic style, which I think we enjoy.
Yeah.
So, we really got a kick out of it.
I like those string ties, it's kind of cool to see a very high fashion designer, French designer, kind of celebrate that with the red plaid and zippers.
Pinstripes trending in a big way, and pinstripes with check and pinstripes with plaid. There's a real return to sartorial textiles that have a very English beat to them, and sometimes with a 70s Jagger swagger, and sometimes a little bit of a punk sensibility. So we're seeing a little bit of a melange of that. But I love all these big, large, longer overcoats we're seeing everywhere. A longer scarf that's either just kind of hanging to the knee or wrapped around the neck. And shearling. It is a trend that is surely going to be important because everyone's doing a cropped shearling jacket or an elongated shearling coat. And the return of the bomber that's layered over the top of a lot of sportswear jackets and suit jackets, which is actually something we've been seeing a lot with street style, where people are wearing their bomber jackets over a suit.
I really like the Gabba look with the oversized trousers at the bottom. That was amazing. That was tight. I can't wait to get that. I'll be rocking that this summer. Yeah, my shirt tucked in and all.
A lot of the stuff I think I could wear, right? We could wear.
He definitely could pull it off.
We're gonna, we'll be rocking some of that stuff for sure.
I would say the world according to Chris is black is the new black, and this is the new now.
It's an installation along with a collection. So I want people to appreciate, both experiences in the room. For me, it's almost a celebration of the guy's uniform and the confidence in the uniformity of the uniform, and that's the reason for the infinity box, and it almost takes that uniform and it multiplies it to infinity, and I always feel like there's such confidence in that idea.
Thom Browne is one of those designers, the anticipation is so high. What are we going to walk in and see? And I think this time it was kind of clear from the invitation, the office man. So really what we saw was a study in all of suiting and all of its gray, black, normal things that you go to work in. And to look at it, you may have seen sort of like the same, but the details were all very different. And I found out later that it actually is another line from somebody very smart. So the red, white, and blue tag was gone, replaced by a gray, and kind of smart for him to own workwear. So I thought it was very cool. Love the mirrors, love, of course, that the mind is what we go for.
There are 28 different gray fabrics. They're all classic men's fabrics that I wear myself, but it's a new collection that brand new now. Yeah, I own my own tailoring facilities now, and this is the collection that will be made in-house in my facilities. And I've been wanting to do this for so long, so it's a really special collection that will always be classically inspired, but all beautifully handmade clothing.
The Cooper Hewitt Museum in New York featured Thom Browne Selects, an exhibition guest curated by the celebrated designer.
The Select series is a series of exhibition meant to highlight the museum's permanent collection. So Thom Browne Selects is the 13th exhibition in that series, and also the first fashion designer that we've had for the series. He's also our 2012 National Design Award winner. Starting off with men's fashion, it was really interesting.
Browne is known to approach his men's and women's fashion shows more as art installations rather than runway presentations. This, along with his provocative craftsmanship and sartorial wit, reflected the immersive experience of the exhibit.
The idea behind, or what his idea behind this exhibition was, he really was interested in ideas of reflection. He really honed in on mirrors, which was fantastic because most of the mirrors have never been seen before in public. The mirrors cover a lot of ground in terms of around the world. There's Italian, Venetian, lots of different mirrors. They span about 300 years. Some of the most recent ones, we have one by Jim Dine that was done for the Biltmore Hotel out in California. That's the most recent one, and I think the earliest one dates from the mid-18th century.
The concept of uniformity accompanied the mirrors, a recurring theme central to Browne and vividly highlighted within several of his past fashion presentations.
For me, it's almost a celebration of the guy's uniform and the confidence in the uniformity of the uniform.
This idea of uniformity. Looking at some of his past fashion shows, especially the shows with the shoes and the sort of rigidity and the symmetry of how they're laid out. But the idea of the uniform is not only about uniformity, but the uniform itself, of course, comes into play with his fashion. So he's very much about the uniform being a way of expressing individuality, that it's really about the person wearing it that makes it different. The clothing can be the same, but it's really the personality of, the person wearing it that makes it, be something very unique.
For me, doing things that are important enough that museums are interested, that's really special for me.
We are a company that tries to help men dress better in a more enjoyable experience. All of our stores have full bars, flat screen TVs. We have a private appointment model. It's one-on-one, which means we get to invest in each and every customer. Once we kind of have gotten a sense of who you are and what you're looking for, we'll pull out fabrics. And we'll kind of, through questions, get down to what style are you actually looking for, what price points are you generally comfortable with. And we'll be able to present a number of options to you. We've got over 3,000 fabrics in each category, suiting, shirting, blazers, trousers, etc. So you can design the width of your lapel, what type of lapel, what type of pockets, the type of lining you would have, etc. And then once we've designed all of your garments, then we would walk you through the measurement process. We pioneered the modern bespoke approach, where we first capture over 300 measurements using our 3D body scanning technology. And then we use sample garments as a reference point to get at what cut do you actually want. Being able to show the image of our customer to our tailors around the world is an incredibly beneficial tool. It becomes more beneficial the more unique the customer's body is. I think it really comes down to fit. You could have an inexpensive fabric that fits you really, really well, and you're going to look better than a fabric that's 10 times as expensive that fits you poorly. For us, technology is critical for it to stay on the leading edge of the fashion space. I think one of the things that differentiates us is we don't consider ourselves designers. We are a platform for design, and so it's really enabling the customer to be the designer.
This is the Essential Ducky Brown, and it is one look. That's what we are featuring. And we will be releasing a poster that everyone gets mailed and a short film that will be released on Instagram. It is a response to everything that's happening in the world of fashion and in the world at large. The way for us to separate ourselves from all the noise and the clutter is to pull back and be mindful. So we decided one look, because really from most shows, what do you remember if you're lucky? But one great look.
Coming into work every day on the subway and seeing people flick through Instagram and Snapchat and just seeing people just are looking at one image from everybody. And is it okay to do one image? Can we do one image? Can we get over what we really need to see in that one image? And can it look like a ducky? The image is really beautiful and it's really strong, and you know, we spent a lot of time, I would say in fact more than actually doing a show, on this one look.
I think if you want to stay in the game, you need to be authentic and true to yourselves, and I think the consumer and I think the people that are watching you can smell that if you're chasing it or whether you're doing your thing. People are still willing to spend money on something that is of interest and of quality, but you really need to sort of figure out what people are wanting and provide them with that.
It's so Ducky Brown because we've just shot it 5 minutes ago and we've seen what we're going to do. It's very strong and it's perfect.
A lot of it was the way I worked through my career, which especially at the beginning of my career, with odd mixers and odd mix of fabric as well, like a heavy cotton drill with a jacket with a beautiful cashmere overcoat over it. Not necessarily showing suits, but showing jackets and trousers, layers, lots of layers, which I like because you get pattern on pattern with pattern, and you get rough and smooth. Quite a lot of new shapes, like a slightly wider trouser, a parallel trouser, then a flared trouser, slightly about that much longer jacket as well. Lots of colour. The middle part of the show, less colour, and the beginning and end, more colour. And then the paisley embroidered onto the denim pants and showing denim jeans again.
Smith is such an original in that he kind of celebrates British style. He just has fun with it, whether it's tailoring or something a little bit mod.
When I first started, a lot of men were very nervous about wearing anything other than a very simple suit, simple white shirt and a very dark classic tie. And then it was late 70s, early 80s that people started to relax a little bit more. That was mostly to do with the onslaught of magazines, grooming for men, and just people being more aware, and men realising that actually was okay.
Gifted ad man, creative genius, and cultural provocateur, George Lois defined the turbulent 1960s with his iconic covers for Esquire Magazine. In 2008, Lois was honored when his work became part of the permanent collection at the Museum of Modern Art. That spring, the exhibit was commemorated in a 190-page tome. Friends and designers Isabel and Ruben Toledo hosted a party at New York's trendy Ace Hotel to celebrate the book's release.
Well, the show started in 2008, and the first month of the show, I got 1,600,000 hits on my website. So I said, I better produce a book. And of course, the fun of the book is that not only do I show the covers, but I tell a story about each one. And some of the stories are hilarious, you know.
And George is one of the greatest natural resources we have, you know, for thought, and I think he's like a real founding father of American communication. To see all the covers put together in a book, what they originally started out being, which was a magazine, it's such a great thing.
I love that it's part of the museum now. I think that's amazing.
Partygoers reflected on Lois's enduring influence.
I see it as being quite tremendous in multiple aspects. Advertising, media, his impact can be felt in various industries through all of his achievements through the years.
I guess it would be the big idea, you know. That's what it's all about. And that's what he always seems to relate to everything. And I think he's right. As long as you got the idea in your brain, you're going to do well.
I think the fearlessness was a product of what the men's magazine was, Esquire. It was a combination of high culture meets low culture, vulgarity meets literature. And somehow that whole thing carried forward, even through the 60s.
Everything, the humor, again, the humanity, the idea that you don't have to be timid or well-behaved to do something. You know what I mean? You could sell and communicate in such a strong, vivid, humanistic way, and still do it as a real class act. That's George to me.
Later, the Society of Publication Designers and the Fashion Institute of Technology hosted a discussion with Lois and Wired Magazine creative director Scott Dadich.
You put the magazine on your knees, and it's like having a lap dance. You know?
Did you bring enough ones?
Yeah, I mean...
I said when I started the evening that I would not be in this field in magazines if it were not for George. I remember distinctly seeing his covers for the first time and just being blown away. I don't think there's a real magazine creative, whether that's a photographer or designer, that really hasn't been profoundly influenced by George or his work. Bobby Kennedy and MLK and Jack at Arlington. I always am moved when I see it. It's sort of a profound statement and the purest graphic expression of those times and turmoil.
What's exciting is the Society of Publication Designers 5-6 years ago gave me their Lifetime Achievement Award for the Esquire covers. And so talking to them tonight is great fun. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to know that I've had something to do with inspiring young people. And I hope they could take what I say and go back to work and go to their editors and say, how about this for an idea? You don't design a magazine for your readers. You design it for what you know is right. And the readers will follow, you know. And that's what happened with Esquire, and that's what people should be doing today. I got Andy Wall drowning in a can of Campbell soup. You know, I'm Muhammad Ali at St. Sebastian. That's taking the celebrity and adding an idea that knocks you out.
I would kill to collaborate with George on the cover of Wired. We've actually talked about that, so hopefully soon we'll see something like that on a Wired cover, maybe even on an iPad.
Sure. Are you kidding? I'm up for anything.
Tonight we're on Bowery. We're at the John Varvatos presentation. It's all about rock and roll. This is John's land. Rock and roll's alive.
We're at an old venue where they used to play rock and roll music, where Patti Smith and all the legends used to come. John Varvatos took over, and it's amazing.
The thought was, is rock dead? So we themed it Rock is Dead with a question mark. And it wasn't about music. It was really about what's inside you, and rock is a way of life. And are you being a rebel? Are you having your voice heard? Are you being disruptive? Do you shake stuff up? Well, it's a fantasy world. It's definitely more than an installation. It's theater, it's art, it's fashion, it's illusion, you know? So I wanted to do something that was more playful and that you remember and you think about. It screws with your mind a little bit.
It's awesome. It's almost like a cool haunted house. I mean, it's unbelievable. You feel like a rock star when you come in here, so it's cool. Well, you can use a lot of his stuff in a bunch of different ways. I mean, I like the cuts of his t-shirts. I love his jackets. He's got great boots. So, I mean, it can get very funky, but, you know, it's very comfortable stuff, and it looks good, so that's most important.
It's about good clothing. As you can see, amazing, beautiful clothing. Here we got the leather pants, perfectly fitting, extremely comfortable. This scarf, this beautiful jacket, and we got the boots. That's an awesome outfit. I feel rock and roll. I've never felt so rock and roll before in my life, and tonight I feel amazing.
It's not a theme thing. It's not about a rock star or David Bowie here or Keith Richards there. It's really more about our brand and saying who we are and what we're proud of.
Very, very, very rocker. Kind of like I don't care. You know, like one of those kind of feel vibes. Full rock, full throttle. I mean, it's sick. Make sure you feel great with what you have on. I think what fashion does is it expresses that you feel good about yourself. You feel sexy, you feel strong, you feel confident.